Have you ever wondered what lies beyond the veil of this life? What proof is there of an afterlife, of heaven, of hell, of something more? Long before he was the patron saint of Ireland, a young man named Patrick wrestled with this very question. He wasn't just a man of faith, he was a man who craved certainty, who prayed with a desperate heart for a sign, a tangible connection to the divine promise of what comes next. And in a way he could never have imagined heaven answered. But the answer wasn't a choir of angels or a beam of celestial light. It was a gateway, a dark, unassuming cave on a remote island in Lough Ireland, a place that whispered of secrets ancient and profound. This wasn't a gate to paradise, not directly. It was a passage deep beneath the earth, a descent into the very heart of purification. This was the entrance to what would become known as St. Patrick's Purgatory. Imagine the courage it must have taken to leave the familiar world of sun and sky and willingly step into the unknown darkness. Guided by his unshakable faith, Patrick entered the cave. The air grew heavy, the familiar sounds of the surface faded, replaced by an unnerving silence. And then, something else, echoes from another realm. As he journeyed deeper, the path transformed. He was no longer just in a cave. He was in a spiritual crucible, a place where the soul is tested and refined. The visions that unfolded before him were both terrifying and profound. He saw souls, adrift between worlds, caught in the fires of purification. These weren't the damned, but they weren't yet the saved. They were souls being purged of their earthly attachments, their sins, their regrets. He witnessed their torment, not as a punishment, but as a cleansing. He saw tears of remorse, heard cries of pain that were also prayers for mercy. In this realm of shadow and fire, he understood the true weight of a human life and the immeasurable depth of God's grace. He saw souls weeping for the harsh words they had spoken, for the kindness they had withheld, for the moments of selfishness that stained their earthly existence. Each pang of suffering was a step closer to purity, a shedding of a layer of imperfection. Yet amidst the sorrow, there was an undeniable undercurrent of hope. He saw that this place of suffering was also a place of immense love, the refining love of a creator preparing his children for an eternity of peace. It was a vision of divine justice, but also of infinite compassion. Patrick didn't just observe, he experienced it. He felt the heat of the purifying flames, the sorrow of the weeping souls, and the overwhelming presence of a holiness that was both awesome and frightening. He came to understand that the path to heaven isn't always a gentle ascent. Sometimes it requires a journey through the valley of our own imperfections. He saw that forgiveness isn't just given, it's a process, a journey of the soul towards wholeness. When Patrick finally emerged from the cave, blinking in the unfamiliar light of day, he was not the same man who had entered. The world looked different, more vibrant, more precious. He carried the weight of what he had seen, but it wasn't a burden of despair. It was the burden of knowledge, of profound truth. He had seen the consequences of a life lived without grace, but more importantly, he had seen the promise of redemption that awaits even the most flawed among us. He returned to the surface a man forever changed, a man who had walked through torment and witnessed the dawn of grace. This experience didn't break him, it forged him. It ignited a fire in his soul that would drive his life's mission. He now had the proof he had prayed for. He had seen the afterlife, not as a distant concept, but as a visceral, undeniable reality. His purpose became crystal clear, to lead others away from the path of torment and towards the light of salvation. He had journeyed through purgatory so that he could guide others to heaven. The site, Station Island in Lough became a sacred destination. News of Patrick's journey spread, and the cave became known as St. Patrick's Purgatory. For centuries, it has drawn pilgrims from every corner of the globe. They come not as tourists, but as penitents, seeking what Patrick found in the darkness: clarity, forgiveness, and a renewed sense of purpose. The pilgrimage is not for the faint of heart. It is a rigorous 3-day exercise of prayer, fasting, and penance. Pilgrims walk barefoot on the sharp stones of the penitential beds, ancient remnants of monastic cells. They keep a 24-hour vigil, foregoing sleep to remain in a state of constant prayer and reflection. They descend symbolically into their own personal purgatory, confronting their failings and seeking reconciliation with God. Like Patrick, they enter a space stripped of all worldly comforts. They fast from food, they abstain from sleep, they walk on painful ground. It's a physical echo of the spiritual purification Patrick witnessed. The idea is to quiet the noise of the outside world, to peel back the layers of ego and distraction, and to stand humbly before the divine. In the fatigue, in the hunger, in the discomfort, they find a strange kind of freedom. A freedom from the attachments that so often lead us astray. Many who complete the pilgrimage speak of a profound transformation, much like Patrick's. They talk of a feeling of being unburdened, of leaving their sins and sorrows behind on the island. They describe a newfound peace, a deep and abiding connection to their faith that they carry with them long after they've returned to their normal lives. They have walked, in a small way, in the footsteps of the saint, seeking forgiveness in the same darkness he once navigated. The original cave from Patrick's time was closed and destroyed in the 17th century, but the spirit of the pilgrimage endures. A basilica now stands on the island, a beacon of light in a place once defined by darkness. But the core of the experience remains the same: a descent into the self to find a higher truth. The story of St. Patrick's Purgatory is a powerful reminder that faith is not always about comfort and light. Sometimes the most profound spiritual journeys take us through the darkest places. It teaches us that our imperfections don't disqualify us from grace. They are the very things that grace seeks to heal. Patrick's journey beneath the earth wasn't just a quest for proof. It became a roadmap for redemption. He was the man who journeyed through the fires of purgatory to lead countless others toward the eternal light. His legacy isn't just shamrocks and parades. It's this incredible story of courage, faith, and the enduring human search for forgiveness. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into one of history's most fascinating spiritual legends. If you found this story as compelling as I do, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more explorations into the mysteries of the past. We'd love to have you as part of our community. Until next time, stay curious.